My name is Alaina Somondi, and today I think is another day that the Lord has blessed, because I think which is happening today is a pure manifestation of what we had talked yesterday. I think even before the election, whereby Ruto won and was declared as the President of the Republic of Kenya, we were here. We were guiding the Kenyan people on how to make the right decision. And with all the reasons to believe that Ruto was not the right decision. And we told people, referring to some books, we even referred to the Chinua Achebe's book, Things Fall Apart, whereby Chinua Achebe said one thing, that indeed Okonkwo, who at that time believed to have been a rich man, came to realize later that he was only a trifle person in the kingdom of many. What do we understood from this perspective? There is one thing we Kenyans need to know before we even start talking anything to do with democracy. And there was a time the former Nigerian president, Mr. Obasanjo, was in Citizen. I think Kenyans did not follow what Mr. Obasanjo said that date. He spoke about democracy and the challenges that Africa as a whole is facing on matters democracy. It's like we don't understand what democracy is. Democracy is not about we queuing on the lines to vote. It's about understanding what to do at the right time. So what I'm saying is this. Kenyans need to understand what they really want and what the problems and the challenges they have. Because according to me, I can tell you the problem that this country have is one. The Devonshire White Paper of 1921. After the Devonshire White Paper of 1921, we have home guards. Now we have uncivilized slaves who are serving the system without knowing where they are going. We all have been included into that uncivilized slaves, educated but uncivilized slaves. We pretend to have much knowledge, but we have nothing. And that's why, just recently, when Gen Zs were doing all their things, I told them here that you people are not going anywhere. For as much as I'm a youth like you, but I'm seeing your end. It is coming because you have not strategized on how to win this battle. And indeed, look at what happened. Look at what happened to them. Today, they are no longer. Today, they are nowhere to be seen. Why? Because they never had a long-term plan. They only came with a triple system whereby it accommodates wow on that period of time. According to me, the biggest mistake that the Gen Z did kuleta hii failures yao was that wakati waliposukuma Ruto kwa ukuta, the next plan was to arrange on how to dismantle the whole parliament. And that was to be done immediately, to dismantle one arm of government so as to force Ruto to go to a surrender zone. But look at what happened. Look at what Raila did. Raila only countered them. Raila Odinga, a smart man who knew where these young youth were going, one evening, he came at the Citizen TV, spoke about members of parliament who have betrayed Gen Z, and again pretended to have stand with the Gen Z, advised the Gen Z to do away with all those members of parliament. But this was only a political trick. It was only going to do him good, but not the people. Raila knew that the next plan that the Gen Z had was to dismantle the parliament. So Raila was only going to secure the mandate of the parliament in such a manner that even ODM can survive. And after that, you saw what Raila did. Again, went to another meeting, called for an inclusive government, and that is what happened. Then 2 weeks, then it became a tribal kind of a plan. The Gen Z was shortchanged to be a tribal kind of a plan. And that's why I'm saying the Gen Z, who are the youth of this nation, need to understand the political issues which are affecting this country as of or as to part the history. They need to go back to the history first to understand where they are today and what has brought them to this situation today. Because you cannot try to solve the present before understanding what the history sustains. You need to know who is an enemy to this country. The enemy is not Ruto, the enemy is not Gachagua. There is an enemy beyond the capacity of Ruto and Gachagua. And that's why, in me quote, the Devonshire White Paper of 1921, Kenyans need to go to that Devonshire White Paper to read that Devonshire White Paper. You'll come to realize that the British are controlling us till to date. You'll come to realize that all these systems in Atengezwa is to favor the master. We are always going to be slaves. Na kuna hawa katikati, the middlemen, hawa sasa ni watoza ushuru. Sasa when you come to realize why inafaa turejee katika historia yetu so that we understand how tutajitoa katika hii mtego tumejipata, ni lazima Wakenya waache kuvaa tai nyingi, koti nyingi na usomi mwingi. This thing needs wisdom, not intelligence. And that's why Shakespeare in his book said that a fool is kind enough, but a youth feeders shall profit and sleepers more in the day than a tomcat. There was a reason why Shakespeare said so. Sisi wa Kenya uadeli tunajipata tunachagua Barnabas na nani? Judas Iscariot. Each and every election. Why? Because we don't know what our problem is. Saizi angalia tunaenda kwa another election. We have two dogs. Wametuleta katika a public conversation. Ruto, Gachagua. All of them have nothing to give to this nation. We ought not to concentrate with these two people. Gen Z are supposed to concentrate on what they want, not these people. In fact, history ya Gachagua kutoka kwa serikali, me, I don't believe it. Because I know it is the strategy of the master. The strategy of the master that people don't see. Sisi kama Gen Z atakana turegee tuangalie ni wapi tulikuwa shortchanged. We need to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves big questions and target questions. Ni wapi tulifanya makosa na tusifanye tena. Ndio nasema ya kwamba let us start with the constitution. Look at article 1. Angalia matters integrity. Lazima turege pale article 1. Hii power ya mwananchi, the power of the people. Why is it the constitution imefika kwa power ya mwananchi and haitoi description yoyote? Inakuja inamwachia, ina create lacunas in that, yani in such a way that the law becomes silent when it comes to the power of the people. Haijatupatia mwelekeo on how this power of the people can be used. Why can we as the Kenyan people go back to the drawing board kama Gen Z tukuje na formulation ya kwamba we now want to describe this power of the people so that next time when we go to elections tujue mwananchi ana nguvu gani na limitations zake. Another thing, najiuliza mimi, tunasema ya kwamba Kenya inafuata sheria na constitution ya Amerika. But when you look at the constitution, kura ambayo imeisha juzi, Trump ameshinda, it is so funny that the United States of America have two frontiers and two parts of the elections. We have an election whereby the civil people vote, and there's a part of an election whereby some people just sit down and can correct what the people have done. Electoral college. Why is it kwao kuna electoral college? Why is it that hawakuweka ni mwananchi amue basi? They ought to have seen something. They ought to have realized that one day hii mambo ya kuamini mwananchi ambao tumbo lake linamuongoza itaharibu nchi. Because ukikuja ukisoma hiyo dispensation yao ya kubadilisha, the reason and their reason was that you can never trust the slaves and you can never trust the commoners. The commoners will always vote with interest guided by their stomachs. But their thinking allies will always direct any nation to prosperity. That was their thinking. So kwa upande wangu najiuliza, kwa nini tusikuwe na mfumo kama Kenya hivi? Kwa sababu umaskini umekuwa ni changamoto. Kwa nini tunapatia maskini jukumu ya kuchagua rais na waelewi demokrasia ni gani? These poor people don't understand what democracy is. That's why wakati wa election tunabraibiwa na 50 bob, tunaenda tunachagua viongozi. For how long are we going to elect our leaders with 50 bob na 100 bob? We need to come with a plan which is going to bring a solution to this long-term problem. Na mimi naomba nikimalizia mwingine aingie. Namaliza mwingine aingie. Naomba 2 minutes, naomba wa Kenya tujaribuni katika hii katiba yetu, tufikirie kama wale wanavyofikiria, kwa sababu kwa upande yangu nilikuwa nasema nataka kukuja na a petition ama referendum a type of a process ya kuuliza mwananchi kama tunaweza badilisha hii njia na mfumo ya kuchagua on how we people vote and elect our leaders. Tuwe katika presidential kind of an election, tuwe na governors representing the provinces. We only have 7 or 8 provinces. Let us choose governors ambao watakuwa wana mandate ya kuchagua who becomes the president after the people have elected the president. Electoral college, kama electoral college. Mombasa ama Coast iwe na gavana wao mmoja, Central na gavana wao mmoja, Nyanza iwe na gavana wao mmoja, na watu wengine wote, so that when we sit down it will never be an issue about your tribe, how many votes does your tribe brings on the table. Iwe ni principles na iwe ni merits ndo zinafanya tunachagua viongozi. So ninaomba ya kwamba Wakenya ni wakati wetu sisi kufungua macho yetu na tuweze kutazama mbali na tuamini ya kwamba yote yanawezekana. Na bado nawaambia Gen Z, vita bado havijaisha, ukombozi unaanza hivyo, na lazima tutakomboa nchi yetu, wapende wasipende, na watatoka, sikufichi, watatoka na wataenda, watatuachia nchi yetu. Na nawaomba msivunjike moyo, msivunjike moyo, kwa sababu mkimwangalia Kwame Nkrumah aliambia Waafrika ya kwambia uongozi ni venye nyinyi mnavyouamini, na mtakapouamini utawafikia kadri ya uaminifu wenu. So tunaomba ya kwamba Wakenya wazidi kuwa na imani ya kwamba mabadiliko inakuja. Na mimi nataka niwaambie vijana, mabadiliko inakuja. Na anzeni leo, msingojee kesho. Anzeni leo na msichoke. Tunajua mnakuwa short change, but let us sit down and look how this time tutafanya kitu ambao itapeleka kuweza kuheshimika katika mfumo wa demokrasia ambao tuko nao kama Waafrika. So mimi maliza hapo, na naomba Wakenya amani, amani, amani katika nchi yetu, na tuweze kusimama na nguzo moja. A political party ambao unajua itachukua more than 500,000, so that iwe ni umbrella ya mayouth, kwa sababu nimekuja nikagundua we have been slaves. We are slaves of these big parties, So tutoe mayouth hapo, unaelewa? So that we can have a long term plan ya mayouth. Unapata? Baada ya hapo wacha tukuje na hizi sasa hizi the reasoning itwaje, pleadings zetu tupeleke as petitions. Referendum, tulete referendum ya amendments ya katiba. Yeah.